to talk about the courage to love, knowing there is nothing to hang on to. When we have the courage to love, knowing that there is nothing to hang on to, there is a display of something of our inherent nature, or the aspects of wisdom, love, compassion that are within each of us. And these qualities are naturally present. They're expressing themselves through that love that is responsive, that is caring, that is open-hearted. And then with the wisdom, we can see clearly. We can see that we can't grasp onto anything, that we can't cling. If it's a relationship we're looking at, being with another person, all relationships by their very nature are of the nature to come together when conditions are right, to be there as long as the conditions are supportive, and then, like all conditioned things, they disappear, fall away, change. But there is this love that expresses itself, and we know that there is this transitoriness to these beings that we are and who we're connected to, and yet we love anyways. And this is the courage, and this comes from the wisdom, because we see this is just the way things are. And so I'm feeling inspired to talk about this right out of my own experience. I've been in relationship with my partner for over 40 years, and recently, in a very tender moment, I was feeling like this expansive heart, a deep sense of love and appreciation, and yet seeing nothing to hang on to. And so who knows what comes in the next moment even. So the exploration of this is also tied to the motivation that I carry in my life to want to wake up, to be able to help other beings to do so too. So historically, for many, at least in the Buddhist tradition, monastics were taking on vows and living a life of renunciation, which included letting go of intimate relationships, fully dedicating their time and energy to practice and study. I, on the other hand, on the path of a householder yogi or a meditator, one who's interested in this process of waking up and living within a very ordinary daily life existence with many demands, many different things being asked of me, and yet this is still the grounds out of which I aspire to awaken. I just see that there's something in my own life, whether it's about the rub of life that I find compelling to look, to see, to find freedom. And I want to be able to bring these challenges to the path. So I want to spend some time both in this session and in coming sessions to explore what does it mean to bring relationship to the path of awakening? Because I want to hold myself accountable in this. I don't feel like being in a relationship is just to be comfortable, to rest in a false sense of security that one day we'll wake up from, or to have some kind of a better, more comfortable samsaric or cyclic life. But there is a way that relationship itself can help me to find what is my own full potential. And so it's really a learning in action. And today I want to speak about the close relationships, because I've seen a lot of benefit in the closeness of a relationship that has helped me. And at the same time, love, this expression of our true nature is so beautiful, and loving can be so entangled. So this is kind of where I want to begin. And then in other sessions, talking more about self-love and compassion, and then into interdependence, all of our relationships with life, which is just the way things are too. So for today, close relationships. And, a lot of my own learning comes from being with Edwin, my partner. And you may not have a partner, but you may have a lot of family, friends, people who have this capacity to inspire you, that know you well. And when you really love somebody, you care deeply for them, and it becomes hard to want to cause them harm. You want to do your best because that's what supports them. And when you're living wisely, it helps them. Or on the other hand, when you're confused, you see the ramifications for both of you. So they can inspire us to want to clarify confusion, because when we're confused, that's when we tend to do harm. So having people that are close to us can be this inspiration. Might inspire us to want to be more authentic, honest, to be more open, to really touch into these qualities that are within us. And so this is one of the things that I so celebrate about relationship and being in close proximity with others. And they can really help to bring this out for us, to recognize the way in which we can live a life of non-harming, a life of caring, a life of kindness. And so this is a benefit. Then there's a flip side, or it's not really the flip side, but it's the how to stay in relationship when those people that are close to us know how to push our buttons. They know when we're caught. They know when we're inauthentic, and we can often read each other really well. And so what gets reflected back to us might not be what we want to see. But, there's a great intensity to this mirror at times. But it isn't all bad news. Some of that is really quite beautiful. One of the things that I have seen is I can see the difference between when I'm in touch with a love that is unconditional, that just deeply cares for this person, wants them to flourish, and it isn't self-referencing back to me and holding out in case it means they won't want to be with me for the rest of their life. It isn't bargaining in any way that, if I'll love you and be good to you if you just really fulfill my own needs. So it's not connected with that, but it's like, please do what's right for you so you can really flourish. So it also shows me where I'm doing things, saying things with a conditional aspect to it. Maybe it's even manipulative. My happiness depends on you being a certain way, and then if you don't give me that, then I'll withdraw my affection for you. And that's more challenging to see in oneself. Often we see the expectations when they're not met, and then we blame someone else for being responsible for what we feel. But again, one of the beautiful things is that when we bring relationship to the path of awakening, what happens is that person is no longer responsible for our happiness. So right there, we gain a lot of freedom. They gain freedom. And, there's really nothing like when we can fall in love with someone and just have the sense that they're going to bring us this great sense of fulfillment. And that usually does not end in a very happy way. So we get to see this. As well, what happens with bringing to the path of awakening relationship, it becomes a shared journey where we are supporting each other, but we are not the object of each other's happiness or fulfillment. More like being together has the byproduct of happiness rather than the other is responsible for our happiness. And just so much freedom. I think even if we never went beyond this, it's just a huge shift, a healthy shift in a relationship to be responsible for our own well-being. Another aspect of being in relationships and aspiring to wake up is there can be this way that we mutually support each other. We not rely as in a bad way, but we help each other. And this can include our friends, family, where we're kind of nudging each other to wake up. And it can be reflecting back to a person when we're getting off track. We might get tantalized by something in our life, and our partner just kind of goes, you might want to take another look there. And we see that we've just become infatuated with something, and it brings us back to ourselves and finding that nourishment within. Then there is ways that sometimes people around us do really inspire us in how they are. We see them blossom in some way. Maybe they find great clarity and understanding about their own confusion. And that's like, wow, if they can do that, I can do that too. So it really helps us to keep going on the journey. And we all have different strengths. And I love to see the play of this in my relationship, where Edwin, he can be deeply inspiring. He has a lot of clarity. That clarity can get us from point A to point B really well. And it's really quite wonderful. And then at times, the exactness he lives might benefit from a sense of spaciousness that I might invite into how we're relating. And it might help things to unfold rather than being fixated in any way. And so out of this, there can just be that sense of finding balance, waking up, nudging together, that is just so heartfelt. And it takes us right into the truth of interdependence, which is a topic for another time, but that in itself brings us to a great sense of support and appreciation, a sense of respect, and we just simply meet each other as a fellow human being, and we're all in this mix together. It's just a basic decency of respect and not living from that stance of I'm right, I'm central, you need to listen to me, I need my independence. Is more collaborative feeling. And we all bring a uniqueness that is so beautiful. A value of being in relationship is the learning of patience. And this comes about when we hit those challenging moments. I know there's been times where I have felt like, oh, this is awful. This can feel unbearable, and this might be it. This might be the end. I've had these experiences a few times. Yet through the love that is there, it's like you hang around long enough to hear more, to give it more space to be present with, that discomfort that feels unbearable. And out of that, we might feel more a sense of equanimity, acceptance, and we find that we can hold it with a more expansive view that can help us to find our way through something that might feel unresolvable. The relationship grows in a sense where it's not the end of the road, but we've moved through a challenge together, motivated by the love that's there. It's like you just don't want to turn your back on what is so precious, what is a gem. And so you hang in. But this doesn't mean that we endure relationships of abuse. I remember a relationship that I had many years ago where I came home one day and my partner was in bed with another woman, and there was so much rage. And after she left, I put my hand in a fist and I went to hit him straight in the heart. And just before that, my fist stopped in front of his chest. And it was quite a moment where I was suddenly looking down a road that was a dead end. And the space just opened up in my heart. Not that it meant that I was going to stick around. It might have, but the conditions weren't such. But there was something bigger present. And in this space, I just started to get in touch with, a wiser, kinder way to deal with this and to take care of myself. So I'd also like to come back to the wisdom aspect of knowing there is nothing to hang on to. We beautiful beings, loving, it's wonderful, and it's all going to change. It sounds like doomsday, but it's not. It's just the way it is. So in our relationships, we can watch how every time we try to hold on, we squeeze the life out of something. Or as one 12-year-old boy once said, he described, when you do that, it's rope burn. And our relationships are a great way to watch the fluctuations of change within the relationship, as well as where we grip and the ramifications of gripping. We might have a concept of our partner frozen in a moment of time. And maybe it was when we fell in love and we wanted them to stay the way they were in that moment. And there's so many more sides, facets. So we can embrace the truth of impermanence, which opens us up to the infinite potential. Without impermanence, it would all be solid, no movement, no fluctuation. So in my own life, it can be challenging, and yet there is so much support. And, the inspiration that comes, the sense of learning to respect, to care deeply, wanting others to flourish, and what happens to our hearts with that. So in coming weeks, looking more at the courage to love, knowing there is nothing to hang on to, and practices that can help us to live and love more fully without fear.